And good afternoon, and welcome to our Spring 2018 State of the College Address. For those of you who don't know me, my name is George Seifert, and I've been a proud member of the Department of Social Work and Sociology for the past 39 years. 39, and I'm proud of it. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Gary Olson, this afternoon, who will deliver this important address to the entire Daemen community. It comes in a time when external forces of change, political, social, and cultural, are affecting higher education in several ways, some good, some not so much. For example, state legislatures like New York, ignoring empirical evidence showing that charging student tuitions, in fact, helps colleges and universities to achieve the goals of increasing quality, quantity, and equity in higher education, have decided to make college free to a majority of college-age New York residents. As you know, the immediate effects have been felt here at Daemen and throughout New York State. Other trends affecting American higher education include the public's increased questioning of the value of a college degree, even in the face of evidence that today's college graduates on virtually every measure of economic well-being and career attainment, from personal earnings to job satisfaction to the share employed full-time, are outperforming their peers with less education. And when today's young adults are compared with college graduates from high school graduates from previous generations, the disparity in economic outcomes has never been greater in the modern era. And if anyone is interested in those studies, I'll be happy to send you copies. Yes, it may seem that higher education is being challenged on all sides, but I, for one, am confident that Daemen will not only survive, but will thrive in the face of these challenges. From my point of view, Daemen's leadership has positioned the college well to take advantage of the opportunities that external change offers. And I'm anxious to hear President Olson tell us today where Daemen is, as well as to listen to his vision of where our college is headed. Thus, it is my pleasure to introduce our president, Dr. Gary Olson.
Thank you, Dr. Seifert, for your kind words. You know, George was the very first professor I met when deciding whether to come to Daemen, and I knew immediately that with professionals like him on the professoriate, we had a great professoriate here, and I was right. George, I do hope if you have that research available that you'll pass it on to Albany, because they need to see it too. So, the Assemblyman will gladly bring it up there. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you all on this wonderful, sunny spring day, and it'll go that way forevermore, I hope. I'd like to begin by recognizing some distinguished guests who are with us today. With us is the Chair of the Daemen College Board of Trustees, Dr. Tom Stewart. Trustee Robert Corr is also with us, and Trustee Dorothy Ferguson. So please help me thank them for all they do for Daemen. Also with us is New York Assemblyman Ray Walter. Ray's been a true friend of the college, as has Dr. Lynn Worsham. So please help me thank them both for what they do to make the college better. Now, as I've reported in the past, the Daemen College Board of Trustees has been undergoing an exciting transformation that parallels the forward momentum of the college itself. Over the last 5 years, the board has made a concerted effort to recruit first-rate community leaders who will help us lead the college to new heights of excellence, resulting in a 60% turnover of trustees. Recent board members have included such leaders as the CEOs of Blue Cross, Univera Healthcare, M&T Bank in Buffalo, and the Spicer Corporation, as well as former congressmen and an assistant U.S. attorney. A strong board helps ensure that we're well positioned to thrive in these, as you heard, very challenging times. Now, at its recent meeting, the board appointed 3 new members of the trustees. Kathy Lawley Best has been a dedicated member of the Daemen Community Advisory Board. She serves as head of corporate relations at Lawley Insurance, which is ranked among the top 100 brokers in the nation. She's a graduate of Nardin Academy and St. Michael's College in Vermont. Mark Chasin, also a dedicated member of the Daemen Community Advisory Board, is president of Chasin Affinity Companies, which is a leader in land development, property management, and real estate. This Buffalo-based company has administered development projects across the country, including a range of condominiums, office buildings, and residential properties. He's a graduate of the New York University School of Business. And Jennifer Gursky DePirio is an orthopedic surgeon at UBMD and a member of the orthopedics faculty at the University at Buffalo. She also previously served as an assistant professor here at Daemen College. She earned both a bachelor's and master's degrees in physical therapy at Daemen and went on to earn a medical degree from UB. She's earned numerous awards, including the Krakow Research Award and the Oblitz Award in orthopedic surgery. In 2006, she received Daemen's Graduate of the Last Decade Alumni Award. So these 3 new trustees joined the college's stellar board of dynamic leaders, and so we're really glad to have them on board. I'm delighted to report that after an extensive national search by a committee comprised of Daemen faculty, staff, students, and trustees, we've appointed Dr. Robert Rood to serve as the college's Vice President for Business Affairs. Dr. Rood is a seasoned professional who brings with him 35 years of experience in financial management. He possesses a breadth of experience, insight, and strategic vision that will help elevate the financial and business operations of the college. Dr. Rood comes from Daemen, from Lourdes University, where he's Vice President for Finance and Administration. He previously served as the Associate Vice President for Finance and Interim CFO at Robert Wesleyan College, and has held administrative positions in the nonprofit and banking industries. A certified public accountant, Dr. Rood earned a doctorate in higher education administration and an MBA, both from the University of Buffalo, as well as a bachelor's degree in accounting from Canisius College. Would the members of the search committee who are here with us today please stand and be recognized? Search committee members, please applaud their efforts. They did a great job. I would especially like to thank Dr. Greg Nair and Kelly Duran for chairing this important committee. Help me applaud their efforts as well. I'm pleased to report that Debbie Guerneau, our Senior Associate Athletics Director, has been appointed Interim Athletics Director until a national search is concluded. Brandy has overseen the college's adherence to NCAA and East Coast Conference rules and regulations, as well as the division's academic and life skills programming for student athletes. She's earned a bachelor's degree in exercise science at George Washington University and a master's degree in sports management from Ohio State University, or should I say the Ohio State University. Before coming to Daemen, Brandy served as Assistant Athletic Director at the University at Buffalo and as Associate Director for Compliance and Recruitment at Boston College. Please help me welcome Brandy. She's right here in the front row. The national search for a permanent athletic director is underway. The committee is co-chaired by Brandy and by Bill Regan, Dr. Regan. We hope to have a permanent AD in place by the beginning of the academic year. I'd like to begin with an update on the ever-changing political scene. You got a little taste of it already. As I've been reporting to you, the college faced a number of external threats over the last several months. Governor Cuomo's original executive budget proposed to eliminate new Bundy aid for Daemen and other colleges. Bundy is direct aid that campuses earn on the basis of the number of degrees that they confer, and it's typically used for student aid. If this proposal had been adopted in Albany, Daemen stood to lose approximately $250,000 that we would have used to give to our students in aid. This would have been a major and unexpected blow to the college. Now, the college was very proactive in attempting to get this provision withdrawn from the final budget. I personally sent formal letters to 15 state senators and assembly members, and several of us lobbied additional legislators. The Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities in New York, as well as its 100+ member institutions, was extremely aggressive in lobbying to reverse the cuts to Bundy aid. And many of you also wrote to your state representatives. I appreciate that. Now, adding to these troubles was that the U.S. President's originally proposed budget provided for deep cuts to federal student aid. It would have eliminated the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. That's an assistance grant for students with the highest need. It also would have cut federal work-study program, which we all use, by nearly $500 million. And it sought to cut $200 billion from student loan programs. Now, needless to say, if enacted, these measures would have had a significantly negative impact on Daemen and our ability to attract new students. Last year, Daemen received nearly $4.2 million in federal student aid and over $20 million in student loans. The proposed cuts to Daemen would have been deep. Again, both the college and many of you individually wrote to your representatives, and as I reported to you in a letter a few weeks ago, the final budgets on both the state and federal levels restored funding to these programs. And I want to thank each of you for your help in alerting our legislator about these programs and what they mean to our students and for the continued health of the college. Your voices were heard, and you deserve a lot of credit for making this happen, so thank you. Now that these new threats have dissipated, at least for this year, we're left with two main external challenges. The first is still the governor's Excelsior free tuition program. As you know, this program was largely responsible for our having a rather difficult time this year, after 90 of our existing students chose not to return. We also predicted last year that this coming year would be difficult as well, thanks to Excelsior, but then we would regain our stride after that. While it's still too early to get an accurate judgment about where we'll be with student enrollment, we believe that thanks to the aggressive recruiting that we've been doing and our new financial aid allocation program, our enrollment deficit will not be anywhere near as large as we predicted. We remain cautiously optimistic about the coming year. As always, I'll keep you informed about that as well. Now, the second major external challenge that we all face is the skyrocketing cost of health care. The college was so fortunate to be locked into 2 years of a 9.9 cap on the annual increase of our health care costs over these last 2 years. This agreement actually shielded us from annual increases of approximately 25%. Unfortunately, these caps go away after this year, and so we all will be facing a huge gap between the actual cost of healthcare and the artificially low cost that we've been paying for the last 2 years. Like Daemen, most colleges and businesses throughout the country are facing such runaway costs, and it's unsustainable. So as a college, we need to engage in some deep analysis and discussions about what our priorities are when it comes to salary and benefits. We need to examine what kinds of issues are involved and look at all of these things holistically and develop a long-term strategy for the college's success. These are important questions that will have a significant impact on the future fiscal health of the college. Now, in order to tackle these momentous questions, I'm hereby instructing Vice President Greg Nair to impanel a task force with wide institutional representation to study the intricacies involved and to make some recommendations. I will personally reach out to the leadership of the Faculty Senate and the Faculty Salary and Benefits Committee to ensure that faculty are very well represented. The goal will be for our entire community to analyze the facts, engage in some real soul searching, and come to some kind of consensus about where our shared priorities are. I will, of course, keep you informed about the progress of assembling this committee and all. But if you are personally interested in being appointed to the committee, please let Dr. Nair know, and he'll do his best to try to accommodate as many people within reason as possible. I'm happy to say that despite this high drama in Albany and Washington, and all of the challenges that we've been facing, the college continues on a very positive and productive path, and we continue to implement many innovation and improvements with very little, and in some cases, no college funding. One of the measures that we implemented in response to the external assaults on colleges is to develop a comprehensive 3-year budget planning model. This is a first for Daemen. Historically, we created budgets only on an annual basis. This annual reactive budget planning severely limited our ability to plan in a long-term way. We recently introduced a new zero-based budgeting system with a 3-year projection component. And this new model will allow us to be much more strategic in our budgeting, especially at a time when we can no longer rely on previously dependable state and federal aid. The new system is already in place for the upcoming academic year, and the new budget model will help us better respond to external threats such as the Excelsior program, and we're very enthusiastic about it. In January, we officially launched the Daemen College Rescue Squad. This student-run emergency medical technicians unit is one of only about 17 in the New York State and only one in Erie County. It's one of only about 250 in the whole United States, by the way. Building on the college's reputation as a leader in healthcare education, this rescue squad is comprised of licensed EMTs who respond to medical emergencies on campus. Besides providing a value-added component to the students' classroom education, the squad complements the college's emergency response efforts, providing extra support for community members and visitors who are in crisis. The squad was created in partnership with the Erie County Department of Health, Twin City Ambulance, and Snyder Fire Department. And members of the squad must commit a whole year of service after receiving professional training. It's a good deal. I should note that the average pass rate in Erie County for certification is in the mid-70%. Our squad's pass rate is in the upper 90%. So that's a real tribute to our students. The current squad consists of 32 members, 14 of which are certified EMTs. Now, a new phenomenon across the nation is esports. Esports is competitive video game playing, and it typically takes the form of organized multiplayer competitions. Daemen has just joined a select group of colleges that sponsor a competitive esports team. As part of the Daemen Game Club and as a partnership among Student Affairs, Information Technology, and Athletics, the Daemen College esports team will participate in competition this fall as part of the NCAA's East Coast Conference. That's our conference. The season will culminate with a championship tournament. At the moment, Daemen is the only institution in Erie County sponsoring an esports team, although I did just hear that Canisius is now following our lead, as it does in so many things lately, and they will be announcing an esports team as well. We will use the esports as a competitive student recruitment tool. In fact, just yesterday, we enrolled our very first student who will be a member of the esports team. She's a transfer student with a very respectable GPA, and we're really proud of that. We recently, as you know, opened our new esports lab in the Adi Lounge, which is next door, of course, to the Alumni Lounge. The lab was funded through the student activities fee and through repurposing some furniture and equipment. So we're really excited about this. As I've been reporting to you for the last 5 years, we have substantially upgraded and professionalized campus security. From creating a professionally trained public safety unit, to installing high-definition surveillance cameras, to installing locks on classroom doors, to introducing campus's first blue light system, to instituting a professional safety alert system on campus, to sponsoring the area's first active shooter exercise in collaboration with Amherst Police, Snyder Fire, and Twin City Ambulance. Our newest addition to this is a partnership with RAVE. That's a leader in emergency notification industry, and this will enhance the college's emergency response system. We're now able to offer parents of students and significant others of employees the ability also to receive text alerts in emergencies. This new system works with our existing desktop takeover and email notification, as well as a new audible siren, which was received as part of a grant. I don't know if you've heard that siren yet, but I was on Harlem when I first heard it, and there is no mistaking that if there's an emergency. I'm delighted to report, though, by the way, that this new system will save the college $5,000 a year over the existing system we used to have. Early this year, we moved Veterans Services to Student Affairs so that we could centralize student support services and thereby recruit substantially more student veterans. You'll be happy to learn that our increased efforts to recruit and support veteran and military-aligned students is really paying off. We enrolled 20 new veteran students this spring semester, a 30% increase from the previous spring. Our goal is to double our veteran student population in the next 2 years. In addition, we recently finalized a formal agreement with SUNY Erie, that's the new name for ECC, to create a dual enrollment program for military veteran students who would transition from ECC to Daemen after the second year at ECC. And if that's not enough, Dr. Nair just informed me on the way into this room today that we now have, I think, 26 is what he said, students, new students for veterans signed up for the fall semester, so our efforts are really paying off. So, in fact, congratulations to you and Alvin and to the others that are taking part in that. A major goal for the last several years has been to create a fully integrated department of marketing and communications headed by an experienced marketing professional. This fall, we took the first steps toward that goal by reorganizing several existing college units to create that department. The new Department of Marketing and Communication is housed in Institutional Advancement. The most important component, though, of this major effort to upgrade our marketing is to recruit a seasoned professional to lead this newly formed unit. While recruiting this professional has been a goal, certainly of mine, for 4 years, budget constraints have prevented us from doing so. I'm delighted to announce to you today that we are able to launch a search for a leader of our marketing and communication efforts. With the departure of our advisor for governmental affairs, this cabinet position has been eliminated and the funds have been reallocated to the marketing position. While the absence of a government affairs official will be a great disadvantage to this college, we believe that this is a sacrifice that will, in the long run, greatly benefit the college. Meanwhile, Vice President Craig Harris, who currently oversees the department, has been making his way to each academic department to discover what can be done to enhance marketing until the new leader has been appointed. And by the way, a key component of these efforts is social media, which of course is where all the young people spend so much of their time. These efforts also are paying off. Social media engagement is up substantially during this fiscal year. Facebook usage is up 8.5%, Twitter 8%, Instagram 23%, YouTube 29%, and LinkedIn 1%. We hope this increased social media engagement will help not only student recruitment and retention, but also giving to the college. So this is also good news. In February, we held a ceremony marking the grand opening of our new Graduate Studies Technology Center, which is a part of a major effort to advance technology infrastructure for the college as a whole and for our graduate programs. As part of the celebration, we honored State Senator Mike Ransenhofer for his efforts in obtaining nearly $500,000 in funding for the center. Assemblyman Ray Walter was there as well. The grant also funded key improvements to other facilities central to graduate education, such as the renovation of our distance learning lab and reconstruction of the college's main server to enhance technology resources for graduate programs across the college. Recently, we just received another bit of good news. Nationwide, a high percentage of college graduates default on their college loans. The national average is 11.5%. Newly released data shows that Daemen's default rate is 4.4%, which is significantly lower than that national average. That's because so many of our students actually get jobs when they get their degrees. As you know, athletics has become an integral part of our overall strategy to maintain a robust enrollment. We enrolled a record number of student athletes for the 2017-18 year, 30 more first-year students compared to the prior year. For the 2017-18 academic year, student athletes made up 9% of the student population. That's 235 student athletes. This is 2% more than the previous year. And student athletes compose 70% of the international student population, another student population that we're really trying to increase. Now, one positive aspect of the student athlete population is that they tend to graduate at higher rates than non-athlete students. For example, the 2010-11 first-year cohort graduation rate for student athletes was 76%. Compare that to 55% for all students. Also, they tend to perform better academically than non-athlete students. For example, the fall 2017 collective GPA for all student athletes is 3.05, which, by the way, is the 9th consecutive year that our athletes have performed 3.0 or better. 7 student athletes achieved a perfect 4.0 GPA for the semester, and 13 of the 16 intercollegiate programs achieved team GPAs of 3.0 or better. So we're really happy to have this increased enrollment, and not only that, but students that do well and stay here. Another positive contribution, by the way, of student athlete population is that because of NCAA's commitment to student athlete community engagement, the student athletes contribute substantially to Daemen's overall commitment to serving the community. Student athletes completed more than 50 hours of community service during the fall semester, including volunteering at Cause, Jericho Ministry, Habitat for Humanity, and Team Impact. In fact, this year, Daemen won 3rd place for the NCAA's Award for Excellence. That's a national award given to recognize excellent community service programming by Division II schools. We were awarded about $1,500 for that, so that's a real tribute and a national distinction in and of itself. You'll be pleased to know that we continue to make progress in our fundraising activities. Overall given so far in the fiscal year is $3.6 million, which is a 162% increase over last year. I think Dr. Harris should redo that math. 162%, is that right? And it is true, actually. And our annual fund giving is up 50% as well. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for continuing to help make Daemen's first ever comprehensive campaign such a success. As you know, in September we embarked on the $22 million campaign. As of today, we have reached nearly 81% of the $22 million goal, which is over $17.8 million so far. All of you in this room have helped greatly, and I want you to know that the entire college, especially our students, very much appreciate your support and generosity. And I know Mr. Harris wanted me to say this. Day of Giving, Daemen Day of Giving is coming up. I'm not sure I remember the date. I think it might be April 25th, but it's coming up and you'll get a notice. And that will be your opportunity if you still would like to help out yet again. You may remember that a few years ago I announced that one of the highest fundraising priorities will be the renovation of our science facilities in Duns Scotus. We've already renovated 2 large classrooms as part of that initiative, and recently received 2 grants that position us really close to having the funding to renovate a general biology laboratory. This particular project will create a contemporary open lab design that will allow for more faculty-student interaction. The lab will also feature state-of-the-art technology, including modern furnishings, student workstations that foster collaborative learning, and camera-enabled microscopes for screen projection. Now, this is especially important because more than 60% of incoming undergraduates are natural sciences or health-related majors, making general biology laboratory one of the more widely used learning spaces on the entire campus. 2 of our faculty have been instrumental in obtaining funding for this laboratory, Dr. Doug Kalinowski and Dr. Diane Ramos. I don't know if they're here, but Dr. Kalinowski and Dr. Ramos, if you're there, would you stand and be recognized? Are you here today? Very good. And while we're talking about facilities renovations, I should mention that recently the Oshai Foundation approved a grant of $350,000 for renovation of Curtis Hall to support our IGNITE program. That stands for Institute for Government and Nonprofit Innovation, Training, and Evaluation. Dr. Diane Bessel played a leadership role in obtaining this funding. Dr. Bessel, would you stand and be recognized if you're here? There she is. I'd like to thank Vice President Craig Harris for his leadership in obtaining the funding not only for these two renovation projects, but for all of the other projects that comprise the comprehensive campaign. Craig, would you stand and be recognized? The college continues to garner national and regional visibility. I want to bring to your attention just a few new distinctions out of several over the last few months. Daemen has been named by Best Value Schools as one of the 50 best value colleges and universities in New York, making it the only private college in the Buffalo-Niagara region included on the newly released list. Best Value Schools, by the way, is an online guide to the best values in college education. It ranked the top public and private institutions in the state based on acceptance rate, graduation rate, return on investment, and net price, so it's data-driven. Daemen is ranked number 46 and one of two Western New York colleges on the 2018 list, placing it among other prestigious institutions from across the state as Colgate University, Hamilton College, Siena College, and the University of Rochester. Pretty good company, I'd say. In citing Daemen, the college was commended for its set of core competencies that prepare students for success. The new ranking, by the way, joins other recent designations that Daemen has received, and I think I might have already reported to you on, including selection as the University Research and Review Best Value School, and as a college of distinction, including field of study distinctions in nursing, business, and education. And you may remember, too, that the college was also named to Zippia's 10 best colleges of nursing majors in New York, and the Best Value Schools list of biology, environmental science, and accounting. So we've got a pretty comprehensive hold on many different disciplines as a best value. The college's physical therapy program has earned reaffirmation of its accreditation from the prestigious Commission on Accreditation in Physical Therapy Education. This, of course, is a distinction the program has held continuously for 40 years. This 10-year accreditation was the culmination of a rigorous self-study and an on-site visit to ensure that the program demonstrates continued commitment to high professional standards. Would the faculty and staff of physical therapy please stand and be recognized? Physical therapy, anyone? There we go. All right. And Gabrielle Sinnott, a history and political science major, has been selected to receive the prestigious Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship to participate this summer in an internship in Thailand. Sinnott is one of 300 undergraduates from nearly 140 colleges and universities from across the U.S. who have been chosen to receive a 2018 Gilman Scholarship. The program aims to encourage students to study and intern in a diverse array of countries and world regions. Scholarship recipients gain proficiency in other cultures and languages that will help further their academic and career development. The Gilman Scholarship is a program of the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. Gabby, by the way, is a trustee scholar and a student in the Daemen Honors Program. She used to, before she got to be this good, work in the office of the president. Gabby, would you stand and be recognized? And of course, our faculty continue to attract national distinction. Of the many examples that I could cite, let me mention just a few. Dr. James Ritchie, an assistant professor of mathematics, has just been awarded a congressional fellowship through the American Mathematical Association in partnership with the American Association for the Advancement of Science. As a fellow, he'll be placed on the staff of a member of Congress or a congressional committee to serve as a legislative assistant in areas requiring expertise in science, technology, or education. Dr. Ritchie, would you stand and be recognized if you're here? There he is. Dr. Matthew Ward, director of Daemen's Honors Program and associate professor of chemistry, has been appointed to a 2-year term on the Science, Mathematics, and Sustainability Committee of the National Collegiate Honors Council. This is, of course, another real distinction nationally. Dr. Ward, would you stand and be recognized? There he is, back there. Dr. Charles Wesley, an assistant professor of English, has co-edited a special edition of the Journal of Commonwealth Literature entitled New Directions in Rushdie Studies. This is a national scholarly journal, a really good one, by the way, and he should be commended for this distinction. Dr. Wesley, would you stand and be recognized? Okay. And finally, Dr. Hamish Daly, an assistant professor also of English, is one of 20 faculty selected by the Council of Independent Colleges to participate in a scholarly seminar at the Center for Hellenic Studies in Greece. Dr. Daly, would you stand and be recognized if you're here with us today? All right, thank you. Now, while we're recognizing faculty distinctions, I'd like to recognize faculty who this year have obtained board approval for tenure and promotion. There are 6 candidates. I ask each one to rise when I call his or her name and to remain standing, and I ask you to hold your applause until all 6 are standing. The first is Dr. Margaret Phillips. She's an assistant professor of paralegal studies and has been promoted to associate professor and has been granted tenure. Next is Dr. Akrita Tandon. She's an assistant professor of history and political science, has been promoted to associate professor and has been granted tenure. Next is Dr. Mindy Skiri. She's an assistant professor of education, has been granted tenure. Next is Dr. Nancy Cantwell. She's an associate professor of English and has been promoted to professor. Next is Dr. Lisa Parshall, associate professor of history and political science. She also has been promoted to professor. And last and certainly not least is Dr. Carl Terryberry, an associate professor of physician assistant studies, and he has also been promoted to professor. These are well-deserved distinctions. Please help me congratulate them all. Now, on a whimsical note, as you know, Daemen has had a long history of art education, beginning in the early days of Rosary Hill College and extending to today with our state-of-the-art animation program. As one indication of the artistic talent of our current students, here's how a few students just last month made use of some of their free time and the available elements. I do hope they do such high-quality work in their classes. Now, I'd like to end with some reflection. As you know, we had a bit of a tough year, but not a disastrous year, but an unusually tough one, thanks in large part to the Excelsior program. But I would really hate for us to lose sight of how far we've come as an institution in a relatively short time, because we do, in fact, have incredible momentum. Think about how far we've come just in the last 5 years. 5 years ago, we had no centralized technology organization and no chief information officer. We had 3 distinct and sometimes competing units of technology. Today, we have a fully integrated information technology operation and the institution's first CIO. 5 years ago, we had a rudimentary dinosaur of a website. Today, we have a sleek, modern website. 5 years ago, none of our main public meeting rooms were equipped with, can you believe this, with technology. Jim Baccarati had to trudge through the snow, there he is, pushing a cart with a monitor on it to accommodate our needs. Today, all of our main rooms have technology. The executive boardroom, alumni lounge, dining room, social room, executive dining room, rosary parlor, and just about every classroom has technology in it. 5 years ago, campus security, as it was called back then, consisted of a few disheveled characters huddled in the shack at Duns Scotus smoking cigarettes. Today, we have a thoroughly professional campus safety organization, and I already mentioned a number of the campus safety elements we introduced in the last 5 years. 5 years ago, the Student Center looked like it was straight out of Dr. Stewart's age, the 1960s, complete with rickety wooden chairs in the dining room and the so-called cyber cafe that was very underutilized. Today, we have a thoroughly modern student dining room right out there, and the Den is a thriving hub of activity for our students. 5 years ago, the college was bringing in only modest amounts of support from donors. Today, we are well into the college's first ever comprehensive campaign. We're well on track to far exceed our $22 million goal. Before that time, large gifts to the college were rare. This year, we announced our first two $1 million gifts. 5 years ago, our endowment was $11 million. Recently, it reached $22 million. 5 years ago, we had no chief diversity officer. Today, we have an Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs that sponsors a rich array of programming and services. 5 years ago, the college seemed trapped within the confines of its small geographic footprint. Today, we occupy a whole new section of campus that includes Alumni House and Honors House, and we've even breached the bounds of Main Street, opening the Academic and Wellness Center and a branch campus in Brooklyn. 5 years ago, we had no MSW, no MPH, no degree in dietetics or cytotechnology or applied behavioral analysis, and today we do, along with a whole array of partnerships with other institutions that allow our students to obtain doctoral degrees in medicine, veterinary science, and pharmacy. And finally, 5 years ago, we were not in the habit of thinking of our national reputation, how we compare not just to a handful of colleges nearby, but to colleges more broadly across the nation. Today, we do so regularly. Today, we take note of what was always the case, though perhaps not noticed, and that is that we in so many ways are a college of national distinction. So this is really clearly an impressive amount of momentum that everyone in this room participated in a very short time. And much of it, much of what you just heard, was done through grants and donations and wise reallocations of money. And so my point is that it would be really a shame to lose sight of the progress that we've made just because for 1 year we were forced to tighten our belts because we didn't know that the Excelsior program was coming. So I just want you to leave today remembering that we are really strong. We're thriving. We are Daemen, and we are not going to let that momentum stop. Not a single person in this room is going to let that momentum stop. So I appreciate all that you've done. Now, this ends the formal state of the college address. Now I'd like to turn to my favorite part of the agenda, which is the presentation of this year's Outstanding Faculty and Staff Awards. As you know, each year the college recognizes one faculty member, one staff member, and one administrator as the year's most outstanding members of the Daemen community. Each of the three awardees receives a check for $500 and a coveted permanent raise of $500. That seems a little excessive. Let's begin with the Outstanding Staff Award. As with the two award committees, the Staff Award Committee was composed of accomplished individuals who received the award in the past 5 years. Please help me thank the committee for their hard work in helping to choose a winner. Our staff recipient has been described by nominees as someone who is always helpful, kind, and dedicated. The recipient pays attention to every detail of the job and clearly takes pride in a job well done. Our awardee never hesitates to help others, is a hard worker, and always displays a kind demeanor. This recipient has been described as one of the most pleasant and positive staff members on campus. The recipient, and I think that's true, the recipient of the 2018 Outstanding Staff Award is none other than Mr. Floyd, we all know him as Duke Scheffler. Duke. Next is the 2018 Outstanding Administrator Award. Please help me thank the committee for their hard work in helping to choose a winner. According to the committee, the recipient has a perpetual bright smile and boundless energy. This administrator goes above and beyond in all duties and always offers to help others. A responsible and valued employee, the recipient is always willing to listen. This awardee has been described as an unsung hero who works very hard. By all accounts, this recipient does not hesitate to take on difficult challenges and is especially dedicated to helping students. The nominator writes, her heart is Daemen College. The recipient of the 2018 Outstanding Administrator Award is the one and only Ms. Adrienne Williams. You don't want the money?
I do.
Oh. Wow, what a fan club. Our third and final award of the 2018 Outstanding Faculty Award. Please help me thank the committee members for their hard work in helping to choose this winner. The committee was very impressed that the awardee works tirelessly to ensure that students become responsible professionals. As such, this professional is always looking for new ways to present information that will facilitate student learning. The recipient is a leader who encourages everyone to get involved and is a strong advocate for students. The committee called this awardee an excellent professor with vast disciplinary knowledge. As such, the recipient greatly enhances the student experiences and is involved in every class in the curriculum in one way or another. It was noted that this professor has published several scholarly articles in just the last few years. It is with great pleasure that I announce that the recipient of the 28th Outstanding Faculty Award is Dr. Greg Schutz. Yes, let's applaud all three of them, all three of them. I'd like once again to thank each and every one of you for being here today and for all you do every day to make this college a very, very special place. I look forward to seeing you all at commencement on May 19th. And now I'd like to invite everyone to join our trustees, Dr. Worsham, Assemblyman Ray Walter, for some modest refreshments this time and stimulating conversation. Thank you once again.